Hello, it's Alex. I have returned from London and surrounding areas and I come with a conversation topic. I haven't been locked in my room in my evil fart dungeon thinking of evil Games Workshop clickbait videos, but you may say this video is, but it's actually a discussion. I also have a guest with me this week. Who is this guest?
It's me.
It's Sarah.
It's Sarah.
My lovely wife. She has been in previous videos in the past, like battle reports, but because we're talking about retail and business, my wife, she is about to become signed off as an assistant manager. I've done retail for many years as well as Sarah, so we thought we'd give you the insight as people who work in retail, but also then as consumers. By consumers, I am the consumer of Warhammer. My wife tolerates it. So essentially, I walked into the main Tottenham Court Road Warhammer store. Big one, extra Forge World stuff, lovely staff, great vibe, big squishy Nurgle, big Griffhound, what you can like smack the booty of it. And I left with nothing. So that's probably the title of today's video. I left Games Workshop with nothing. You're probably going, oh, what does he mean? Is he sick of it? No, I have money to spend, but I can take your money if you want me to spend it. But it was more the fact that I left with nothing because a lot of the stuff I wanted was online order, or they didn't really have many special items for me to buy. So what I mean by special items, like one-off pickup. So like I went into the Canterbury store a few days prior, had a nice conversation with all the lovely staff, and I put a photo on screen of my book pile of shame with a lovely Griffhound plushie, which was like $11.99. But that's like kind of a walk in, walk out item because I had such a nice experience in the store. I didn't want any models, but I saw this plushie and I was like, I'm going to buy that because it's cute. It's not too expensive. Do you want to break down like walk in items and what they are, kind of?
It's just your items. You go into the store and they're not necessarily the items that you were coming in for. They're just the things like, oh, I need this. Oh, I need this. This is a good idea. I'll grab some just to have. Yeah, so it helps. It adds up your basket spend. It adds up your overall takings as a store. Even if you have, the way you need to look at it, businesses, anyone who runs a shop, any person that comes into your store is a customer, and that's potential money. They need to be leaving with something. And I think the theme for us, well, the theme for Alex, the last few times that we had been in a Warhammer store, you hadn't picked up anything, you hadn't bought anything because they just didn't have it available in store. Now correct me if I'm wrong. I'm aware there is order in store.
That was just
option.
My stomach grumbling.
There's the giant iPad. Can you order something to be delivered to your house?
Yes.
Obviously at an extra cost, right?
Yes.
Or there is the collect
Free,
from store
yeah.
item as well. But not everyone's going to want to do that. Everyone's going to have a whim, or they want, the instant gratification of picking up that item there in store. So I think they're losing it with not having a full range of everything available. And I know there's space constraints and everything. But that's where your pickup lines come in handy. And Warhammer recently is branching out into like key rings and mugs, the plushies, the sort of collectible items that aren't really directed towards the core Warhammer fan.
Yeah. But you're more likely to buy it.
You're more likely to buy it.
Because it's cheaper and it looks cool.
I've commandeered the Griffhound, that's mine.
What?
That's mine.
It's going in my office.
No. Yeah, sure.
Okay, great.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. The domestic. No, but essentially, like I walked into the... So basically, how many times can I say basically in a sentence? I went into the kind of big Tottenham Court Road store, not like the HQ like Warhammer World where they have all the nice stuff, but I'm thinking if you have like your Tokyo CAF store, your Warhammer Texas store, your nice big Tottenham Court Road store, I want to walk in and get Warhammer World exclusives. You could argue and say that literally kills the point of going to Warhammer World, but I think people would still go Warhammer World because you've got Bugman's Bar, you got the big expeditions of like all the scenery and all that going on. But for example, I want to get, I think it's called the Rook. It's like this kind of cool Age of Sigmar, single character, kind of Dark Souls vibes and all that. And I was like, well, I'm not going to be in Nottingham in any time soon because I live in Northern Ireland. And the Tottenham Court Road store is a great example of they should stock some of these limited exclusive minis. So at least I'm coming in, I'm like, cool, I'm going to buy a bunch. Because in my head, I was literally like, okay, I'm going to get the Catachan Sergeant, the Rook, but a lot of these are like store anniversary or they were like a one-off exclusive. And for me then, if I'm coming into like a flagship type of store like that and they don't have that in stock, I'm going to just leave kind of like, oh, that was pointless. Like, I left that store with nothing. They had Forge World stuff. Some of it was new, but a lot of it was just old. But as it was said to us, sometimes people will make an order, and then if they change their mind, the store will then just put that order on the last chance or like display shelf. So now and then you may pick up some quirky stuff you won't find in a Warhammer store, but then they have their general, this always sells, this is the bread and butter, so that's why we have it on shelf. But then going back to what you were saying, it kind of loses that joy and excitement. Like, I like going into a Games Workshop on the wing. I don't go in planning to spend, but I'm willing to spend. But when I was so new into the hobby, I would always find something because you're like excited. But now I've been doing it for so many years, I have restraint, financial restraint, but also I'm just kind of like, oh, there's nothing really tickling my fancy, or it's always out of stock.
Another thought that I had, correct me if I'm wrong, correct me if somebody is in the know. I'm assuming that all stores are on like an automatic replenishment of stock. The managers and the staff in store have no control of what comes in and when. Would it be a possibility of them having that option to managers order some stock with, if they know that they're in an area where they have a lot of a certain type of players?
Yeah,
that should be well filled out. You know, there should be good stock options for, you know, certain factions, or it's a particularly AOS heavy area.
Yeah, we need more AOS. Or
vice versa.
Yeah, definitely.
40K.
I agree. I don't think that is the case. Personally, I say I don't work for Games Workshop. You don't, and the staff wouldn't tell us. Like, if you worked for them in the past and you know, let us know. This isn't like conspiracy tinfoil hat time. But it was just kind of curious because like I've been in a few stores when you travel around the country on your journeys and trips. Like as you've seen from the footage, we went to AC/DC, CC Top. So most of the time, if I'm going to a gig, I'll look for a Warhammer because it's like kind of a ticket off the list. Like, oh, I went into this Warhammer. Sometimes they have different displays. Sometimes they may stock different miniatures. But all Games Workshop's Warhammer stores are kind of the same. They have everything. And a weird thing for me, I remember when the Old World came out recently, was it this year, last year? I was hoping for them to stock a bit more of that, like just stuff you can take off the shelf, like the odd single resin character miniature, but it's basically all trapped online. Yes, I've done videos in the past which have had kind of conflicting views from both sides. Some people agree and some people disagree with me. That's okay, because that's the internet. But I generally go in and let's say I wanted, there's like this really cool Tomb King miniature. It's like 19 quid. It's a metal miniature, but you can only order that online, or they have it at Warhammer World. Why can't they have the tiniest corner for Old World? This is a brand new product, so I'm going to be more likely to purchase that because it's new, it's shiny, it's a new thing, but yet, no, it's online only. And it's just kind of to the point now where you're like, well, why would I order online from Games Workshop when I can go to a third-party retailer, order it online from them, get it cheaper? Like, the good thing with Games Workshop, it used to be if your order was over £20, it was free.
Right.
But now it's gone up to £40, I believe.
Oh.
So now it's like, well, I'll just go Goblin Gaming, Element Games, Firestorm Games, Dark Sphere, and get discount on the miniatures, all paints, and also then pay the same or cheaper delivery fee. I know this conversation's like a big... So basically, Alex, you walked into a store, you left with nothing, what's the big deal? But I'm trying to give like an explanation of why I'm leaving these stores without picking up nothing, and trying to find like suggestions, solutions, just an open commentary on it, because consumerism, capitalism, social people.
I think there's always going to be something that would make your shopping experience better, and it's useful feedback for a business to have, because no business has a perfect model. Excuse the pun.
Oh, that's actually really good. I didn't realise that's very good, actually. That wasn't forced. To pardon the pun.
Pardon the pun. A game that I find as well, going into a Warhammer shop, you go into one, you can go into... You've essentially walked into the mall. There's no sort of individualism with that. And it does obviously there's a lot of control coming down from head office as to, the setting out of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the same for any store. But again, I'd like to see maybe a bit more freedom given to the staff in
quirky.
store.
It's like if you go into a McDonald's, you want McDonald's 1, 2, 3, 4,000 to make a Big Mac the same way. Mm-hmm. I want a Warhammer to, yes, sell me a Space Marine like it is on the shelf, but I want to see a different display. I want to see a different staff approach. I want to see people playing, painting, enjoying the hobby. Mm-hmm. And now, because I feel like they've really moved away from that model, I remember years ago, I'd actually generally go to Warhammer to hobby and paint, chat to people.
It's not as personable
tips.
anymore.
No, it's just very... This is a product. Mm-hmm. And I'm very aware we need to get new people into the hobby, recruit them. Once you got annoying, grumpy people like me, you don't rely on my money, you rely on the new people, give them that thrill. Let's take the quick money and then they go, and then we keep repeating that. But for me, I'd rather like a more sustainable model, even though they're making record profits, with a third price rise in the space of 3 years, I believe. Yay. But it's like, wouldn't you rather have someone who's long time, sustainable, regular cash flow, even if it's not constant high spend, but it's still spend? Yeah. And then if you say one person does that, then you have 2 people doing that and 4 people doing that. And that makes up for the one person doing their big spend, but then those 4 people continually do little spends here and there. Mm-hmm. Isn't that healthier for the business?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Like a few years ago, they did a sale online. I remember the first time ever, it was like discount on big boxes. Like you could get Aeronautica for like £35-40 instead of 60. Mm-hmm. They even did AOS free box set from like 120 down to like 80. And this was Games Workshop doing it on their own website.
Right.
And I'm not saying, they need to do sales, but if they just did like, I know they do like buy 5 paints, you get 1 free. But I don't know.
Royalty scheme. Yeah.
But I don't know if it's because they have such control of the hobby. Mm-hmm. They are Warhammer. They don't have no competitors. So they can basically just say, this is how we want the market to be. We make the shots. Deal with it. You consume. And I'm not saying boycott them. I'm not saying, go to another hobby. I'm not one of those content creators who will try and make you want to feel bad about your hobby and approach it in a negative way. I generally like the discussion with you guys. Like, I've had people agree with me. I've had people disagree with me, saying nice things about me, saying I'm clickbait, but I generally, it comes from a place of care when I just want to talk to people on the internet because I find this hobby interesting and it's like a weird hobby within a hobby. I make annoying videos. But I think that's fair enough for today. Like, if you want us to continue talking about hobby topics, whatever, we can potentially do that if this video does okay. I don't know if I'm going to edit it down into a shorter version, or I will just put an uploaded version on Patreon, or I'll just do a long uploaded version on YouTube. But if you liked what you liked, as usual, if you could like, comment, and subscribe, share around, please leave comments, be positive and engaging. Don't be negative towards each other because I don't want that vibe. Hopefully you could tolerate our really crappy audio setup with me, Alex, and then Sarah being a super nice super guest who is unfortunately forced into this situation, not due to marriage agreements, but due to, I don't know, just feeling sorry for me. But we're going to go now, and before we go, thank you to the people on screen. You are all great. You go that extra mile to support the channel. You're awesome. Thumbs up. Patreons. Yeah. Money. Woo. You take care now. I'm going to say bye.
Bye.
Yeah. Hello, 1, 2, 3. This is Alex.
Test. Testicales.
There we go. Great.